This is my sister's testimony on her descent into the occult and how Jesus saved her. You guys know by now, I'm Nikki, this is Luna, and today, literally today, we decided for Luna to share her testimony. We're going to be doing this in a series because it would probably be a 3 or 4 hour video. So, to start off, I just want to say, this is my sister's experience. This is her testimony. No one can take that from her. This is her truth, and I won't allow anybody in the comments to devalue her and her experience. You can't say something is untrue or not valuable because this is her truth, this is her experience. I also want to ask a question before we get started. When you go to church, I'm talking to church-going folks right now. When you go to church and you sit out in those chairs, those pews, waiting for church to start, or even during church, or especially during worship, for me it's worship, do you ever look out into the crowd and just look around at all the people there? What do you see? Do you just see someone who doesn't look like you? Do you see someone who doesn't dress like you? Do you see someone who might be a little strange, a little socially awkward? You see someone who maybe doesn't fit your protocol? What do you see? Ask yourself that. Be honest with yourself. I'll tell you what I see, because I tend to do it a lot. I tend to look out in the crowd, look at my fellow brothers and sisters during worship, and what I see is possible miracles, walking miracles. And as Christians, we always say we want to see miracles. What is a miracle? We want to see that in these times. Well, I tell you, there's miracles everywhere. It's just, as Christians, sometimes we don't look for them because they don't fit into our comfortability or our social groups. But they're out there. And my sister here, I'm not going to cry. My sister here is one of those miracles. If you knew her full story, but you won't get all of it, I think I might be the only person who really knows the full story. And I think there's still some things that she hasn't told me. But you can get a glimpse into what she's gone through. And I think a lot of people who don't know her, and a lot of people who do know her, are going to be surprised. I'd do it in a little series, because like I said, it would take 3 and 4 hours. It would be a 3 or 4 hour video. So yeah, this is my sister's testimony on her descent into the occult and how Jesus saved her. This is going to be a question answer type format for this series, because that's what my sister is most comfortable with. So the first question I want to ask you is, what sparked the curiosity? What was something that stood out to you? What was the first thing that sparked your interest? Like your childhood, were you raised in the church, like etc. Like, kind of talk about that.
I was not raised in the church. Like, to me it was very foreign, and anything about the church was always negative. Mainly my birth parents, they really immersed me in the occult without possibly even them knowing it. I don't think they really knew of it.
They really recognized it. They probably was just all fun and games.
At age of 9, I made the choice to join the occult. Yeah.
At age 9, you were consciously aware of that decision.
Yes.
And people say, oh, this person's just this age. But she was 9, you guys. Tell us about the Ouija board.
Oh. So, the Ouija board was my first tool I got that I decided to use. And, you know, what's really weird, you think of witches when they would go buy their tools would be like at a witch shop or something like that, or you can order online. This particular Ouija board was bought at Toys R Us.
Oh, yeah, stop and pause.
Yeah.
She said this was at Toys R Us.
Toys R Us.
Toys R Us.
Yeah. It was a glow-in-the-dark version, mind you. So my birth mom, she bought that for me, not realizing, or maybe she did realize, we're not close.
So we'll never know if it was knowingly or unknowingly. We don't know.
Yeah. Little backstory of my being like immersed in the occult without knowing it. I would always watch horror films and scary films, fantasy films with involving witchcraft, and I mean like dark magic kind of witchcraft that they like really resembled it.
So you're talking about like adult horror films. You're not talking about like Disney's Hocus Pocus.
Oh no, I love
Do you know what I
that
mean?
movie.
That's a movie.
And I
She's
know
talking
it's
about
big.
adult being 5, 6, 7, 8, watching adult horror movies.
Yeah, like Saw was one of my favorites. Like movie that I unfortunately really connected and related to. I believe because I haven't seen it again because of God's protecting me.
God's grace.
Yeah, He never let me find it because I tried to find it again because there was a deep level that really that I connected with was I believe called The Devil's Diary.
Never heard of it.
I was 8 turning 9.
We had very
saw
different
it.
childhoods, you guys.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And basically, the whole thing was this girl was mad at, I think, her whole school or neighborhood, almost like another Carrie in a sense. If you're familiar with that horror film, Carrie, where she would have this diary, almost like the burn book in Mean Girls, where you would write who you wanted to die or something bad to happen. And that was the introduction for me as witchcraft and spells, dark magic, black magic. So I had a good understanding of that. It wasn't like, foo fun, I'm gonna be a cute...
I'm gonna be a Harry Potter wizard.
Oh yeah,
no, it was none of that. It was some serious stuff going on.
Serious, like, occult stuff. Not the fantasy kind where you can be like, oh, that's definitely pretend and it's meant for your enjoyment. So the Ouija board. My birth mom bought that for me for when I was 9, and like there was a get together for the adults, and I was supposed to stay in my room, but I happened to say, oh yeah, I'm trying to talk to the spirit in my house, because growing up I saw spirits, and I could talk to the dead, and I had many encounters, presence-wise, not seeing-wise, of angels, and it started confusing me, and since I wasn't being validated, and I wasn't guided in a good way, I started getting my answers in the occult.
Read your Bible. You know that there is a such thing as a spirit world, and there's a spiritual warfare going on. Yeah.
So that was my first tool of basically starting up my new religion that I chose to follow at that age.
Gotcha. And you said you identified as a Wiccan.
Yes.
Why did you identify as a Wiccan? What drew you to that?
Well, between Wiccan and pagan, I thought Wiccan was less evil.
So basically you were justifying wanting to do it.
Yeah.
How people do these days. How we try to justify what we're doing. Even as Christians we do that. Sometimes we use the Bible to justify the things that we do because we want to make the scripture suit us instead of making ourselves suit the scripture. So it's the same thing within that community. You thought, oh, I'll be a Wiccan because it's not
doing
evil.
Black magic.
I might just talk to people. I might just try to heal people. It's not bad.
So yeah, the Wiccan religion believes that green magic is for healing and white magic is for protecting.
Gotcha. Okay, well, did you ever belong to like a group or something? What would you guys would call it, like a covenant? Yeah, did you ever belong to one?
No, I kind of floated. Mainly.
Well, you're naturally alone anyway.
I floated because I never really liked people, and what I've noticed is every time I tried, I both strongly believe, even now that I'm now like a strong believer and I follow Jesus, even to this day, it is so hard to like people. And it's because I think I have this like huge awareness. Most people would identify that as an empath, which is actually of the occult. So I recommend you not calling yourself and identifying yourself with being an empath. But I stuck with that for the longest time, and I've noticed that now, as I'm a Jesus follower, there's so many things taken out of the Bible for the occult. They take things out of the Bible. But for me to mainly be a loner, it was because the devil tries to separate you from community, so he can basically devour you.
And you know what? That makes sense. Because as Christians and as humans, inherent humans, because it's in us, we were made by Jesus, made by God, to live within community. And the devil takes that out, takes you away. So that makes sense what you just said. And I think it's also, if you just talk about occult or cult in general, they tend to do that. They tend to want to take you away from certain people in your life and make their own little thing. So that makes sense because we're meant to be in community. We're meant to have fellowship and relationship. And the devil made you a complete loner. You know? You've gotten better at that though. So.
It's a work in progress.
My foot's falling asleep, you guys. Okay, there we go. Oh, there it is. Okay. Why do you think that called to you? Do you think it was because you were lonely?
It was more of I didn't get validated. I didn't get the help that a child seeks.
So you weren't validated by the adults surrounding you. Exactly. So you said I'll validate, and the people that you met in the occult, like online. Can you remember you telling me you met some people online?
And in real life.
They validated you, didn't they?
Yes. And
they validated you.
They had all the answers. They love bombing.
Okay. Yep.
And they told me exactly what I was going through, and it made sense at the time, because if there's no other person telling you, and there's someone explaining something that you're going through, like, yeah, I relate to that.
Then what they're doing must be good.
Exactly.
Even though that's a tactic. We now know that's a tactic. Yeah. And do you think, because this is just me being, because I've heard of it, and I've had some friends with it, and I've read about and researched it before. We've talked about that. You being in it, actually being in it, can speak on it. Do you think that it attracts the powerless? People who feel powerless, feel like their power has been taken from them, whether that's from a bully at school, whether that's from parents who didn't validate them, or whether that's from a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Like someone has taken your power from you, and does the cult make you feel powerful?
Oh yeah, the whole entire cult. It's just like how the New Age religion, how that movement is going on. It's basically to gratify yourself. It's to empower only yourself. It's always self-absorbed.
You're the Lord of your own life.
Exactly.
Okay.
They don't like to say that though.
Okay. And it's appealing. That's appealing.
That's why it's appealing.
People, it makes sense that would pull somebody in. Okay. You told me when we first met, Mom and I, well, not me, I'm not a parent, when Mom adopted you into the family, we were friends at first. We met in a creative writing class. That once you started going to church with us and everything like that, you said, remember that you always knew God in the back of your mind? Talk about that, but you didn't choose it, so you're saying you actually make a choice, and people think that, you talk about it. Like while you were fighting this battle, this demon, this battle that was inside of you.
Yeah, at a very young age, just like how God says that everybody knows Him. That's why it's like we're all created by Him, so we know of Him. You just choose whether to believe Him or not. I actually knew of Him. Like since a very young age, I've had this deep connection with the supernatural, and that's all the best I can really explain it. I had supernatural, like, I don't know, I guess you could say antennas. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it was just so, like, the awareness was so huge. Okay.
No one had to tell you God existed. You knew He existed.
Exactly.
But then you consciously made a choice because you didn't feel because of the things that you talked about earlier. Yeah. You consciously made a choice. I'm going to choose this instead of God.
Yes, because, I didn't have I knew of Him. I didn't know actually Him. I didn't have anyone teaching me about Him. Yeah. I didn't know that God is love. Like, I didn't know anything about that. I just knew He existed and that He was always constantly there, just like how I know angels were constantly there and spirits. So it was like that. So I knew there was God, and I knew there were spirits, and I knew there was evil spirits, and then I eventually knew there were demons. And it's just like a repeated thing, and I didn't know God's name until my aunt told me when I was 4 and said, God created you, and I was like, who's that? And like, and she explained it to a child like mine. Like, so that's his name? I remember, I'm like, I didn't know that was his name. I knew he was there, but I didn't know his name until I was 4. And then I was like, okay. And then she taught me how to pray with my food. I'm like, what are we doing? But then she gave me a picture of God's son, Jesus. And that was the only time I heard Jesus. And then it was just like put out my mind, the demons, trying to make sure I wasn't able to call out Jesus, basically.
So you physically knew there was a battle going on for your soul?
Yeah.
Between
I
God
didn't
and
really
the devil.
know that until I was like in my teens, though.
In teens? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
As a child, my other background, this would be another series, part of my testimony. I grew up in a very dysfunctional, abusive household, so I was really kept from a lot of people, including some of my family members. So, like, because my aunt was pouring into my life, talking about God and stuff, the minute I came home blabbering, like, oh, I had so much fun at my auntie's sleepover, this is what we did, I wasn't able to go over no more, so.
Wow. Jesus is good, y'all. When was your first encounter with, like, a demon?
Same around age 9, 10. This is when I got my Ouija board. Like I said, if you don't know how to use it, I was still new to the Wicca religion.
Properly to them.
Yeah.
She knows now as a Christian.
Yeah.
That's not what you're supposed to be doing anyways. But remember, this is her testimony.
Yeah, so I'm
this
just
is not
explaining
her
it
now.
how I was in the moment.
It's not her now. She's a disciple of Jesus Christ now. And a good one.
It.
Yeah.
So me at 9 years old, I didn't know how to use it. I mean, my parents' friend taught me how to use it. We sat in my bed, we did it with the lights off, because it glowed in the dark, right? And we did it, and we communicated, and we opened up a portal, because she didn't tell me how to end it, right? End it. I say that because there is ways. It's no different than praying. You're either blessing or cursing.
You're doing one or the other.
Yeah.
You're either blessing people or you're cursing people. You're either blessing yourself or you're cursing yourself. There's no gray area when it comes to this, you guys. There's spiritual warfare going on. You need to pick a side, and I pray that you pick the right side.
Yes.
Because you're doing one or the other. But go ahead.
Yeah, so this is when the moment I wasn't validated, I got super scared because the demons decided to choose characters from Star Wars. I was kind of on a Star Wars kick, like no joke. So I had one that sounded like Darth Vader and one like Luke Skywalker, okay? And people are like, oh, you're just probably listening to too much. And then anyone who is still a part of the cult or still like maybe questioning, I want to clarify this. You're like, oh, some spirits have to play. Those aren't spirits, those are demons. And so that's what we're whispering and talking in my ears and trying to lure me away into my walk-in closet by myself to try to get me alone.
And demons come to you
As
in things that you like. Go ahead, they whisper. Go ahead, have that another drink. Even though you're an alcoholic, it's fine, have it. They come to you like that. And so it's trying to lure you into your closet. And what was it trying to tell you to do? What was it trying to get you to do?
They didn't tell me. They were just trying to lure me in. And then deep down, I think it was God warning me not to go in. Because I felt scared, but I was also curious. And I felt like a tug, like I was being like in a tug of war, like I was in the middle. And
He was fighting for your life. God was fighting for your life.
I think they were going to try and literally possess me right then and there, because that's what they do. They will devour you. I don't care. That passage, I wish I had it memorized. Like, the devil walks around like a prowling lion, ready
seeking to kill, steal. We know it.
Yeah.
Seeking to. It's gonna come to me. It's gonna come to me. John 10:10. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. That's its main mission. I knew it would come to me.
So yeah, and so the inner feeling was, don't go. Whatever's in there is really, really, really evil, and you, child, cannot handle that. Like, that was literally what I was getting, and that scared me for that warning. I never saw it with my eyes, an angel, but I felt their presence, and sometimes we'll get to that eventually, but not only did I like follow the Wiccan religion, but I also was like really into following angels and worshiping them. So that's a whole another thing we're going to talk about too.
Which she learned when she met Ma. You're not supposed to worship angels either.
No.
Nope.
Did not know that. I also was communicating with them.
Mm-hmm.
Bad news. Anyway.
So yeah, this is you did good. I see your nervous face. This is your story. This is your truth.
I know. And
it's gonna help somebody.
I haven't got past the age of 10 yet.
Right. But anyways, like I said, we're gonna do this in small increments because it's a long testimony. It's basically a fight for her life, and like I was saying in the beginning, there are walking miracles around. It's just sometimes our bias makes us blind to them. You know, we don't know why. We may see someone worshiping in church in a way we don't worship. You know, praising, jumping up and down with their hands, or maybe someone who just loves, like my sister, loves to sing. It may not be perfect voice for you, but it's a perfect voice for Jesus. It's a perfect voice. I think it's a beautiful voice. And I worship funny. I've seen it. I've caught myself on video. But you just don't know why someone is doing what they're doing and what someone has gone through that's in that church building. And sometimes we let our biasness blind us to that. So yeah, and that biasness also blinds us to certain people's callings, and we end up not using them, or not even, that's not a good word, we end up not uplifting them enough within our communities, and they can be doing so much with our communities and helping so many people. I truly think it's my sister's calling to help what I call, because she calls herself, misfits like her. But it's a topic that a lot of Christians are afraid to face, and a lot of Christians are afraid to talk about for fear of, I guess, some demon jumping on them. But if your faith is strong,
you're covered in the blood.
It shouldn't bother you. Shouldn't bother you.
I mean, literally.
As a Christian, if your faith is strong, you should be able to go in anywhere and speak to anybody.
She is very, very powerful when it comes to using the Holy Spirit in her and God in her, because she's going to share some experiences to help me come away from the occult before I was even baptized. So like it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm sorry I brought you into that kind of world.
You know, I'm naturally shy. People think I'm really outgoing. It's kind of funny. They think I'm the outgoing one and I'm like the, you know, but my sister's actually more
as I heal.
As she heals, and not even, she's more of a straight shooter. I'm kind of shy. I'm like, I don't know. Should I say something? Should I report that better? Should I do this?
Of course.
But I've gotten more comfortable with myself, and I know I have a gift that God's given me, and I've been using it to help people and go into places that are scary sometimes. I don't talk about them, so a lot of people don't know about it because I'm not doing it to talk about it. But lots of people come to our house, and Luna's she stayed. But homeless people, just all kinds. Because I've grown stronger in it and I'm more confident in it. And it's not about praises by someone else or anything like that. Because before it was like, why does nobody notice me? And then God spoke to me and said, they don't need to notice you. I notice you. I know what you're doing. So I'm setting it now. I'm faithful and I'm strong in it. And I don't, you know, I don't need the validation anymore. I know what I'm doing. And I know the people that I'm supposed to be helping. So anyways, I just said that because she had to bring me into it. And now my shy face is coming. Anyways. Okay, we'll see you guys next time for part 2. Bye.
Part 2.